Welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Business. This is your host, Amy, and I'm here with Lisa. She is out and about on the town today and joining us from her car. So we got a little bit of a different view on our video. How you doing, Lisa?
I'm doing well if I can learn technology. I'm in my car because for some reason I can't access some things inside the building, but we make do, right? That whole
Right.
pivot we heard for so many couple of years there, we're actually pivoting and glad to be here today because I'm super excited to hear our guest today.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Before we jump into that, do you have any upcoming events or anything that you want to talk about for next week?
Imposter Syndrome is coming April 28th to the Lansing area. It starts at 8:30 in the morning, goes till 10 o'clock at night. And boy, the more I study about imposter syndrome, 70% of people are impacted by it. So Deb Timmerman, who was a guest, will come and talk to us and give us tools and resources on how to get our brains to tell us we're enough. So
Yeah,
excited about that
absolutely.
one.
Yeah, for sure. And then I've got my summit coming up. I talk about that all the time. I'll be talking about that until May 11th. So I've got that coming up, and there's information on that on ZD Media, but all of our listeners have heard that enough times. So let's just dive right into talking about our guest. We have had this person on our show before, and he has changed roles, changed companies. So, welcome Justin Madar. He is a personal and commercial lines insurance producer at My Member Insurance Agency. Justin started there just last September. And prior to that, he was a producer at an agency in the East Lansing area for 6 years. Over the course of his career, Justin has prided himself on his insurance education. His first approach to any prospect or client is making sure they understand the coverage they have, as well as explain to them how that coverage will protect them in the event of a claim. So, Justin is a graduate of Olivet College. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to read his whole bio because I want him to tell us some of this stuff. I know Justin, personal friend. We are fellow BNI members, fellow kickball team members. So, welcome to the show, Justin.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me again. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, welcome to have you. Yeah, so tell us about this new company you're working for and what you've got going on.
Yeah, so my member is a another independent insurance agent. Independent meaning we have a lot of variety of companies we can work with. So that just gives us another advantage of being, a head up in the game, a head up in the market, and we can, double check rates for companies, personal and commercial across the board. Yeah, but I came on, like you said, back in September. It was a very good decision and transition for me and my wife and my family to make that jump into the new agency. The agency is actually based out of Saginaw, but they have a couple other locations in Midland, things like that. So I do go to Saginaw every once in a while, as well as work from home. So just being in the Lansing area and getting to stay connected with everybody has just been awesome.
What attracted you to my member insurance? What drew you in?
Well, actually, my college roommate, Zach, he's an agent at the same agency. And actually, before my member was purchased by Franklin Credit Union, so the credit union is the owner of the agency technically. It was the Duclos agency that was, again, based out of Saginaw, and his dad ran it. And they built the same kind of family oriented structure that I've always wanted. It's never work first, it's family first, and that's kind of the transition I'm going to now that I'm a dad. It's definitely opened my eyes and been very. They've opened their arms with. Open their arms to me very well, and I can't thank them enough for the opportunity that they've given me, and being able to do what I still love to do and still talk to the people I like to talk to is it's just awesome.
Okay, well, you said it. So let's talk about you being a new dad. Tell us
Yes.
about it.
Yeah, so my daughter was born in October. It's kind of crazy. My wife had like one of the easiest pregnancies I think anybody could ever have. So she didn't even have any issues at the hospital or anything, and it's just been awesome to experience. What it's like seeing the world in the new eyes now. I guess you
Mhm.
could say. Everything I do. It's because it's for her. It's no
Right.
longer for me. I'm not a selfish person anyway, but now I'm even less selfish. I just whatever she needs, I'm going to be there to do. So
Aw.
it's
So
been
you have a
awesome.
little girl. Yeah.
Yes, Remy
Okay.
Lynn.
Remy Lynn. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Born in October. Nice.
All right. So does she have her camo gear and has she been out hunting yet, Justin? Because I know
So
that's a big part of your family.
yeah, so I have actually been talking to my wife and she's not quite on board yet. But I was like, listen, in September when it's still nice out, I mean, I don't see why. I went when I was a little kid like that. I mean, I was carried around with my dad, and I remember we were sitting out hunting one day and it was pretty cold and he warmed up on my feet while we were hunting. So it's a win-win for everybody at that
Oh,
point.
well, it's
So
bonding time, whether you ever see
yes.
an animal or not. Yeah, my husband and I ran a hunting lodge when our both of our kids were born. So the first few years of their life, they grew up there. And my oldest daughter was very interested in the buck pole and that whole deer processing and fishing and stuff. And she still has quite an interest in like animal anatomy and things like that. It definitely, um, you know, piqued her interest, and so I think it's good, and just being outside outdoors.
Oh yeah, I remember when we brought Remy home. I got a duck mount that I wanted to hang in her room so bad, but it just I got denied on that aspect. You pick and choose your battles, and I
Right.
chose I let that one go for now.
Well, maybe you and her you can just really show her the love of it, and then when she becomes a teenager, she'll hang them all over her room on her own, and then
That fingers crossed.
right, there
Fingers
you
are
go.
crossed for that.
So, can you share, getting back to the
Yeah, sorry.
my member insurance? I love it though. We could talk about your family all day long. You're such a great family. Um, Tell us a little bit about the services that you can offer through my member insurance. I know you kind of give a little bit on the introduction, but how do you serve the community?
Yeah, so we have a very structured organization where we're always going to put the client first. The calls, things like that. I've taken calls at 2 o'clock in the morning for people. We're always going to be there. We're always going to return calls. We have certain account managers that are designated to each client. So you're always going to talk to the same person when you call. You're always going to, you're always going to have the opportunities to call me as well. But again, there's just things, where I might be out and you need to, maybe add a new vehicle to the policy. It's going to be a lot easier to contact one of the service reps, depending again on where you fall in our split. But again, it's always going to go back to taking care of the client, making sure that client's educated, and making sure that we're giving them the best service that we can.
So you do personal and commercial insurance, and I know you most with the commercial side of it. What is one thing that a lot of business owners don't realize they probably should insure?
I would the biggest thing, especially now with the inflation rates, is the actual structures are
Mm,
so underinsured. Especially, I mean, you think there's a lot of individuals out there that have, they bought insurance 15 years ago because they had to have it. They don't want
right.
to deal with it other than when they first get it.
Sure.
I came across one the other day. It was about 4,000 square foot building. It was insured for 300,000,
Mm,
and it
yeah.
was in today's day and age that could be up towards 1 million in the replacement cost.
Right. So
So
underinsuring. Okay.
yeah,
Hmm.
underinsuring is a big one. Contents coverage. I mean, there's a lot of contractors are out there that are continuously buying newer tools, more expensive tools, and a lot of them don't know that, yeah, you have a limit of personal property on your policy, but there's limitations to that if it's
Sure.
not scheduled. So a lot of
Right.
companies, they might limit each tool to, $2,500, $5,000. But if you're buying, $35,000 tools, you're that's a huge difference.
Right.
So just staying up to date on that. I know with a lot of the larger contractors that I write, I'm always making sure I'm following up with them every other month just to say, hey, here's the inventory we have. I just want to make sure,
Mhm.
everything's up to date, because the last thing I want to do is be like, yeah, so you had a claim on this $35,000 tool. You're only going to get 5,000. That's the last
Right.
thing any agent wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just making sure that they're up to date and educated on those things. I mean, it's part of the job.
Right. So you answered my next question. So as a business owner, like how often should you talk to your insurance agent? And you said you follow up every month, especially with those people that've got the tool inventory and things like that to make sure. But if you're not a business that has all that inventory and stuff, like at least once a year, twice a year, you should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
minimum. I mean,
Yeah.
that me personally, I always try to reach out to all of my, especially commercial clients. I'm trying to do that because you came to me knowing that I'm going to take care of you.
Right.
And my first responsibility as your agent is to make sure you're taken care of and nothing slips through the cracks. So there's a whole orientation that I go through, making sure like, hey, I'm offering from you this coverage. If you don't want it, I need you to sign, because I mean, this is something that I believe that you need, and if you don't want it, I don't want it to come back and be like, well, you never offered it to me.
Right.
So I mean, I take a very thorough approach. Some people don't like that as much, but I mean, I like to sleep at night, so I I don't want to. Those and tough conversations happen no matter what. You know what I mean? But if you
Right.
can, kind of avoid it being in risk, I try to avoid as much risk as I can, or retain as much as I can,
Sure.
and make sure that I'm doing my job as well as if something does happen, that you have somebody there to make sure it gets taken care of.
What about cybersecurity insurance? Is that
Yes,
that's growing huge, right?
oh,
Yeah.
dramatically. I mean, you see things all the time about things getting hacked. There's all kinds of different cyber coverage you can have. I know another good friend of mine, from college. He specializes in solely cyber coverage, and I go to him with any kind of questions I have, because obviously being an insurance agent and an independent, there's so many different companies that we work with. So I'm not
Right.
always going to know the answer to every question.
Right.
I'm always gonna, if I don't know, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you, like, let me call somebody. I will get you an answer, because I'll admit it. I don't know everything. I don't.
Yeah.
So it's just making sure that I can reach out to the people and get connected and get the answer that you need. But yeah, cyber is growing, and it's only going to continue to grow, especially the way that the world's kind of turning.
Yeah, and I was surprised to find out. So cyber, it covers so many things. Like you think about like security breaches, like like these companies where they were hacked and then your personal information might have been shared or whatever. That's a huge, thing. But as a small business, like for myself, I don't have like personal or sensitive information to my clients, but like if I got hacked and my stuff just went down and I'm losing productivity, I just can't work or do some of the things I'm supposed to do. That's another thing that cyber covers that I didn't even think about until I talked to you about it and a couple other people about it. You educated me on that. I was like, oh yeah, that is something I need to worry about. So even if companies aren't handling sensitive client information, there's still cyber stuff they need to worry about.
Yeah, I always talk, even if you take credit card payments, you need some kind of cyber,
right?
Because if you get hacked and somebody steals your, your good client Bob, who comes in to get his oil change, pays the credit card, they steal his credit card information, that's going to fall back on you.
Right.
And if you don't have the correct coverages, it could be a nightmare, especially if you have, 5 or 6, and they spend $10,000-$20,000. That could all fall back on you because you were hacked.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, and I think you bring up a valid point, Amy, of not knowing. And from a consumer's standpoint, personally or commercially, we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes I like to say it's not a thing until it's a thing. You unfortunately see a lot of those circumstances where somebody wasn't covered, where somebody should have had better opportunities to cover content, replacement coverage. I know that was a big deal with houses, if a few years back, the replacement value of homes with the prices going up. But I rely heavily on educators such as yourself to say, you know what, yeah, you might not want to pay this premium now. However, if you're hacked, if you're broken into, whatever those circumstances are, things you truly see, we need that coverage. So thank you for educating.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest differences between thinking about insuring yourself personally or your life and then your business is that lost productivity. I mean, if you're broken into, if tools are stolen, if you're hacked, if like whatever, you not only lose whatever you lost in the situation, but the going forward, the productivity you lose of just having to deal with all that is terrible.
Right, and then you also got that backlash of your name could be a little bit ruined as well, because you built up this reputable company, and something bad happens, and people didn't get what they they intended to get, and they get stolen, or I didn't want to say the screwed, but yeah, as well. And it could ruin it, especially if you spent your entire adult life or childhood just growing a business in your name. It could be ruined in the click of a light.
Right.
So.
Yeah. All right. On that note, let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. Mid-Michigan business owners, do you have your business and family legally covered with things like a business succession plan, estate plan, a will, or a trust? What about a special needs trust for someone you love? Katrina Hofstetter, founding attorney at Cornerstone Legal, specializes in all of these things. She has in-depth knowledge and a passion for special needs trusts for people who need extra care. If you want to leave money for them but don't want that money to disqualify them from needs-based government benefits, such as Medicaid and supplemental security income, a special needs trust can ensure he or she remains eligible for benefit programs that have an asset limit. Examples of supplemental needs are costs for sitters, companions, and dental or medical expenses not covered by Medicare or Medicaid. Do you have a loved one that requires a special needs trust? Katrina can meet you in person or virtually and can be reached at cornerstonelegalpllc.com or 517-708-2222. Katrina also provides estate plans, wills, probate administration, business planning, and succession. Contact Cornerstone Legal for all of your business or estate legal needs. cornerstonelegalpllc.com or 517-708-2222. Building your foundation, building your confidence, Cornerstone Legal. Mid-Michigan's largest marketing summit is Thursday, May 11th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. in Lansing. Perfect for entrepreneurs, marketing professionals, and nonprofits. Learn current marketing trends, network, and win prizes. Get your tickets at zediamedia.com. So, Justin, now that we've piqued people's interest about My Member Insurance, why don't you let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you if they want to find out more information?
So yeah, you could call me anytime. You could email me. You could go to our Facebook page. I have direct line. I have my cell phone. I'm always trying to get connected with people, meet with people, and I mean, now with the new agency, I have a lot more free time. So I'm always just trying to get out there and connect and get back into the community, as well as obviously spend time with my family. But you can call me. Is it all right if I get my phone number?
Yeah, say your phone number.
So my direct line is 989-791. 5428, and that is where you can reach me basically 24/7. If you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I might not answer it, but you never know. There's times where I'm up holding the baby now. So
right. Aw. Yeah. So and the website is mymemberinsurance.com. And of course, we'll have the links to all of that information in the show notes for this episode if you want to get a hold of Justin.
So, Justin, one of the things that, we talked about for people that go back and listen to your previous episode, why insurance, right? Tell our listeners, if they haven't heard that episode, why you chose this field.
Like I said, I've never met anybody who's gotten into insurance solely for insurance. I mean, very few people. There's until I got to college, I met a few there. But I just remember getting out of college. My major was business administration with a concentration in marketing. So I was always wanted to get into some kind of sales role, but I didn't know exactly what. But like I said, remember taking all these interviews, and I ended up getting the interview at the old agency, and it kind of worked out and it fit. And then I kind of just ran with it. I started diving into it, getting educated on it, and I started learning a ton, and it just interests me. So, I mean, I wouldn't recommend doing something if it doesn't interest you. So,
Right.
just taking that step and then getting to where I am today, I mean, it's built my life. So, I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, all those years and that experience. And it's kind of just been a joy and a ride. I mean, yeah, there's obstacles, there's ups and downs, and just you think it's never going to end, and then next thing you know, it just switches.
Right.
And I've been very, very grateful. Very grateful.
Yeah.
How do you keep that positivity going? Every time I meet you, you are such a positive,
Yep.
upbeat person, and I think a
For
lot of us
sure.
can learn lessons from you. But how do you keep that mindset?
I mean, before it was just making sure that I'm helping people, and I've always liked to help people. I've always stood up for people and things that I thought were right, and I've never been one to bully anybody or anything like that. I would just always like to make people smile, because then it makes me happy, and it's kind of just like a retroactive thing where the more people you can make happy, the happier you're going to be. And then my daughter was born, and I became the biggest softie you could ever believe. She's got me wrapped around her finger like she can't even speak yet. So it's just even crazier.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I was down for a while. I just love to be happy. I love to make people happy, and I just like to enjoy life and what it brings.
Yeah, I appreciate that you always bring also that educational piece that Lisa was talking about. I ask you lots of questions. Usually when I see you, I have different things going on, and you are all, and you explain it in a way that's really easy to understand and
Yes.
make sense.
Yeah.
So that's good. So I've got a question because this came up in a conversation I had recently. So this is just personal. I want to know. I'm sure some of our listeners will want to know this too. So my husband and I have this argument, well, discussion, because he has tools and stuff in his car and he always locks his car in our driveway. And I never lock my car in the driveway. I don't keep a lot of things in it, but also because I'm like, well, if somebody's going to steal from my car, I'd rather they just open the door than like smash a window. And then somebody else told me, and I don't generally, and I'm, don't come to my house and steal my car, listeners. But I every once in a while I'll leave my keys in my car by accident, right? Because it's the key fob, right? So somebody told me if somebody breaks into your car and your keys are in your car, it might not be covered. Is that true?
Well, it depends if it's negligent or not.
So if I just say, oh, I forgot my keys in my car.
No, I mean, you think of it, I've had claims come up where, and it's cold out, people go start their cars in the morning.
Right.
While their vehicle's out there warming up, their keys are in the car and it gets stolen. I mean, that is a covered claim. I mean, I'm not the claim rep, so I can't give you 100%
Yeah.
on
I don't want to get you in trouble for promising
don't
anything.
hold me to anything. But yeah, I mean, that is a coverage that you can purchase on your policy. That would be under like the comprehensive collision aspect of that. But I mean, if you have a PLPD vehicle, you might be, again, not a claim rep, not a decision maker when it comes to that. But yes.
I think it's under like absent-minded car owner policy or something, maybe.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. But yeah, I mean, it does happen. I mean, I'm in the habit now. When I automatically start my car, but then I'm going back and forth putting things in there. But I always leave it locked because again, I'm retaining some more risk that my vehicle's not going to be stolen because it's locked. So
yeah,
it's just those things that are
right.
Not everybody thinks about it. I mean, you could be in a rush in the morning and not think.
Right.
But things like that do happen.
Right. Well, I am happy that those newer key fobs and stuff don't allow you to lock your keys in your car. That's good. Yes. I like that.
Except it always honks at you when you get out. It scares the heck out of me.
Wakes the baby up.
Yeah, we don't want that. No, she's already acquitted to loud noises. The day we brought her home, my wife started vacuuming the house already. So yeah, she's very, she knows what loud noises are.
Well, she's gonna have to. She's gonna be a hunter.
Exactly. We got to start shooting guns around her at some point.
That's right.
So, Justin, what are you excited about in 2023? What excites you most?
I'm excited to grow more at the new agency. I get to know everybody. It's a lot larger. There's a lot more people. Me being mostly remote and going into Saginaw, I don't really get to see everybody all the time. I'm like it's just I want to grow and get to know those people better and kind of be what I was before, and that was that go-to person. You start off in a new position, new role. Nobody knows you. Nobody knows what your history and background is, and I'm just excited for that. I'm excited for my family growth. I'm excited to be back in the BNI. I'm excited to get to see my friends and family that are live around the area. I could go on and on about what I'm excited for 2023. Duck season's not too far away, so I'm always happy about that.
Yeah, kickball. Got to bring you back to kickball. I've been working on that one.
Yep, golf league. I just enjoying the outside. Again, it's an outlook and what you look on life. You can be excited for a lot of things, but just being happy and being a good dad. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Yay! Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Priorities. I love it. I'm a daddy's girl, so still at my age.
Nice.
Awesome. So when you start thinking about, I'm going to transferable skills, right? Things we learn, you were a college student, you've got some life experiences. How do you use those transferable skills to help you with your success?
It's just the educational part. Like I could talk to people about all of these things that I've witnessed firsthand, what I've witnessed in classes, and it kind of, I never want to say burn the house down, but I can at least paint a picture of what something could look like. And just giving that advice to people. they love it. I should say not everybody loves it. Some people just, they call, be like, yeah, I need this, and that's it. Okay, that's fine too. But those individuals that actually care and put forth the effort of understanding what they're purchasing, those are the people that I love the most, because I can connect with them and I can, again, talk about my craft and explain to them situations where this could take place and this would be the coverage that would kick in, and just doing that is a joy. And I mean, I since when COVID started and doing all the remote stuff, I like to do the videos, because then it still builds the connection. And I've never been I like to talk on the phone too, yes, but I like to talk face to face, because I can tell, who's paying attention to the attraction and things like that. Now, I have been told sometimes I do kind of space out every once in a while, but that does happen. So, but
we all do that once in a while.
Exactly. But I just making sure that people are educated and having the ability and the experience that I can explain it. Obviously, if you were asking me 6 years ago to explain something, it probably wouldn't have gone off as well as it does now. So I'm just continuing to grow that and the knowledge of this, the career path and helping individuals that's what I want to do.
So it sounds like right now, with the economy being the way it is, interest rates, the housing market, the value of property and things like that, that if you have, this is for our listeners, if you own a house, things like that, you haven't looked at your insurance policy in a while, you might want to do that. You might want to see if you can get some better rates with somebody like Justin at My Member Insurance, and with your business, because like Justin said earlier in the show, things are valued differently now because of the way that the market is. And so your coverage might not cover completely what you have if you were to have a total loss or something like that and rebuild. So this is a really good time to review those policies if you haven't done that in a while. And like I said, if you're thinking about, looking to see if you can get a better rate, call our buddy Justin Madar at My Member Insurance.
This sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's been such a pleasure to see you again and just to hear about your adventure and, business growth, family growth, and just overall moving in a direction that suits you well. You look great. Just really appreciate you coming back on and letting our listeners know where you're at and what you're doing.
Yeah. And like I said, thank you guys for having me. I've been wanting to come back and do these again. I had fun the first time, and this one was even better. So I do appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Is there anything else you still want to tell our listeners before we sign off?
I'm available. If you want to meet coffee just to meet me, I would love the opportunity to do that. And as well as we can always check what's going on with the rates in the market and the things like that, as well as making sure that you don't have any gaps in your insurance that we couldn't take care of for you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being on our show, Justin.
Yes, thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. Good to see you.
You too.
Thank you to our listeners for joining us on another Adventures in Business. We release new episodes every Wednesday. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, you can sign up at zediamedia.com. Please go have a great day, and as always, make it an adventure.